This is about 2 ounces of fiber from one of my Navajo-Churro ram lambs. It was his first shearing and it's about a year's growth. So they range in length from about 10 inches to up to 14 at the longest. Navajo-Churros have a dual coat, with the outer fibers being longer and coarser and the inner fibers being softer. Because they're so long, they don't lend themselves well to carding. They really do need to be combed. I also plan to separate the fibers because I think that just works out better when you're combing locks.
To start out, I take my lock and I will put it on my comb, leaving about an inch of space behind it. Normally you don't put them that far on, but I want to separate out the longer fibers here. So this keeps the inner coat in better. So I just put it on there and then I can just pull, and the longer, coarser fibers come out, leaving the softer inner coat. There are still some fibers in there that are from the outer coat, but these are so soft I'm not worrying about it, and they should blend right in. So here is my lock, and I'm going to put it on top, leaving about an inch behind it. I'm coming all the way out to the tips, and I'm just pulling on the tips to remove that outer coat. And then I'll put this with my inner coat. If you pull and it's not coming apart, go closer down to the tip and pull again, and it will come out.
So I have my longer outer coat fibers in this bin right here. And these are my inner coat fibers. Now there's probably still a little bit of outer coat left in these fibers, but it's because it was a lamb's wool, it is really soft. And the reason I like to comb this out first is because I can still remove some of that outer coat. When you comb them out, the outer coat is naturally going to come out first, and so what I remove I can just add to my outer coat if I choose to do so. Now I'm ready to comb out the inner coat. So I'm lashing on right at the end because the majority of this is inner coat. There is still some outer coat in this, and that will naturally come out first. So that's why I do this first, so I can add any extra outer coat into my other bin to keep them together. And I don't want to pack these too full, but I don't want to be here forever either, so. And it helps to spray it with a little bit of combing milk. I am using unicorn fiber rinse mixed with water. I love it because it smells really nice. It makes my fiber feel really soft. And it doesn't go bad, because if you're using oil, sometimes that can go a little rancid, but I can leave that in there and it always smells fresh. So that was my first pass. I'm going to hit it again. And generally I will go 3 times. Now, if you're looking at this, you can kind of see that there's still some outer coat, and you can see that that's the longer fibers. When I go to diz off, that will come out first. So I'm going to just pull that and diz those out first. And then I'm just going to add this to my bin of outer coat. This is shorter and softer now, and I'm going to diz this off separately for the inner coat. It's useful to have an orifice hook handy to help you get that fiber going. And you will notice that as you're dizzing it off, the closer you're getting to the end, the softer it is getting, because the outer coat always comes out first and the inner coat is just way softer. So again, you could kind of feel along this and say, oh, I just want really the softest part. And that's kind of going to about here. So you decide. Actually, I kind of think I'm going to pull out some of this as outer coat and just keep this softer part here. When I start, I'm going to start towards the tips and slowly work my way up. I've got this big chunk here, so I'm going to kind of just add that to my And you can really see the outer coat starting to come out. Third and final pass. Now, as I'm pulling it out, this would be outer coat. So I'm going to pull on that first. I might move up and grab a little more, but that would be more outer coat, and I'm going to add that to my bin. Now I'm left with mostly inner coat, and I'm going to diz off again. And again, as I'm moving closer towards the end, it feels much softer here as opposed to the coarser outer coat that I pulled off at the beginning. So I would say really soft. And then kind of this part right here, I'm going to pull off as outer coat and add that to my bin. And the rest of this is much softer. So I will coil that up. And then add that over here. And then the first part I'm pulling off is going to be outer coat. So this is outer coat, and then this is the softer inner coat.
I have finished coming out the locks. I have the soft coils of the inner fiber, and I also have the outer coat, and this was waste. Because the outer coat fibers are so long, you kind of want to spin them lock by lock, and it really helps to pre-draft them because even if my fingers are this far apart, it's not pulling at all. So it helps to kind of pre-draft the locks beforehand when you are spinning. If you don't have combs and you want to still separate the dual coats, you can just use a basic metal hair pick.
You can buy them on Amazon. This one came in a pack of 3.
The process is similar. It's almost the same. You just poke this through your lock where the inner coat is. Again, pulling at the tip, and then just pull to separate the 2 coats. Then you would spin this outer coat separately, and you have your inner coat. This, again, I would probably pull again from this tip here because this is still outer coat. And then I would put that together, and then the rest would be considered inner coat. You could, since this is shorter, you could card this fiber separately, or you could pull it apart and spin by the lock. To see that one more time, take your lock, poke your comb through in this portion, and pull from the tips. Looking at this, there still is some outer coat in there, so I'm going to pull again. And I could probably even pull a 3rd time on this. So I have removed the outer coat, and now I'm left with the inner coat. This works well for separating the 2 coats, but you cannot comb with this. You would need to either card these or spin them by the lock.